Hello, everyone, and welcome to You've Retired, Now What? I'm here to help you navigate through these waters of deciding what's the rest of my life going to look like? What's my next phase going to look like? What have I not done that I wanted to do? I'm your host, Michael Kiffmeyer, and each week on this podcast, I give you tips and tricks, processes, and methodologies that can help you through your thought process. So we got a whole lot to talk about. Let's dive in. Hey, I have a couple questions to ask you. Do you worry if you're going to have enough money in retirement? Are you concerned that you haven't saved enough? Inflation is an actual occurrence. What are you doing to make sure that you can ride the waves and ensure that you have enough money to the end of your retirement? And finally, are you aware that retirement today in 2024 is not like your parents' or your grandparents' retirement? Welcome to You've Retired, Now What? I'm your host, Michael Kiffmeyer. And today we're going to talk about one of the most crucial aspects of retirement that retirees tell me that they're most concerned with. With more retirees feeling uncertain about their future, many are calling for a return to pensions as a way to secure the American dream. But in this episode, we're going to explore what's driving the worry and why pensions might be a key to a more stable future. A national opinion poll has shown that working Americans are increasingly worried about being able to see a return to pensions, and they think this might be a way to restore the American dream. When asked if this nation faces a retirement crisis, 79% of Americans agree. There is indeed a retirement crisis, and up to 67% thought this back in 2020. More than half of the Americans polled in a recent survey are concerned they cannot achieve financial security throughout their retirement. And when it comes to Social Security, at least 87% agree that Congress should act immediately and not wait another 10 years to enact a solution. 90% say it should be a priority for the next president and Congress to tackle Social Security now. You may or may not know, more retirees are showing up on a daily basis because baby boomers have reached that age. Those are the ones that worked or were born from about 1943, I'd say, to 1964. They're retiring now. And you know what? We don't have the workforce to back that up. So probably one of the first things we ought to attack in this, not attack, but discuss in this podcast is what's the current state of retirement in America? Statistics show that people are worried. 66% of Americans are worried that they're running out of money and they haven't planned enough. Well, let's think about that for a second. A lot has happened. We've changed several administrations in the past 30 years, and we had a strong workforce, but people are not working like they used to. Companies have changed. They've changed in the fact that they're not offering pensions like they used to. Why is that? Well, it's rather simple. They're too complex to take care of, and they're costing too much. They have more workers wanting to pull from a pension than they have workers contributing to one. So it's not a win-win situation for organizations. And I know a lot of you might think, well, that's not a fair situation. People and companies, they're in business to make money. And if they're not making money, they can't contribute. Not saying they won't, but this is a real crisis that they deal with on a regular basis. When they have more people taking out money than putting in money, that's a problem. That's a problem, and who's going to make up that gap? They haven't quite figured that out. Um, the pension system of the past, or what we call the golden age of pensions in the 20th century, especially in industries like manufacturing, were pensions were seen as a reward for many years of service. That old vision that we used to have of you work 40 years, you get your gold watch and you get your pension, it's gone. And it went because inflation was eating up the company's profits. As I said earlier, more people were taking money out than putting money in, and it became a real problem. So companies encouraged a sharing plan and where the employees put in some and the companies put in some. We commonly refer to this as 401ks. But the problem when people manage their own 401ks, they don't have the discipline that you would expect them to have. Many pull out from their retirement fund for emergencies when they should have planned for emergencies without their 401k. 401k was designed to replace your lost income that you had from when you worked. If you were making $90,000 a year and then all of a sudden with your Social Security and any 401k plans that you had, you're down to $50,000, you're going to have to make up that $40,000 gap. And what the companies have told us, they're not going to do it. They'll contribute, but they're not going to do it. And I know it would just be great if companies would restore these pension plans. But with the cost of the supply chain, with the cost of insurance, employees taking more out than they're putting in, it's just real simple. Companies cannot afford it anymore. They can't make less than they bring in because if so, why stay in business? And if you as an individual don't like it, well, you got a couple options. You can either start your own IRA or 401k, or you can start your own business. But fact of the matter is, these companies are no longer willing to pay for it. And what they'll share with you is not only are they not willing, they can't. They don't have the financial wherewithal. I certainly understand, and I've heard many friends and colleagues say, well, they're a big company, they can afford it. Well, not on a spreadsheet. If, as I said earlier, if they're putting more out than they're taking in, they got a problem. They got a deficit, and they got to find a way to do it or a way to fix it. And the way they fixed it or have fixed it is they want employees to share in some of the risk. It's too risky for them. Liabilities are great. They got they got individuals suing them because they feel that they should get a pension, and they can't spend all their time in litigation trying to solve employees' wants and their needs. But they are willing to meet them in the middle of the road. And you need to keep that in mind when you get ready to retire. It's a real shock to the system when you retire because not only do you have the income you were used to, um, then all of a sudden you're lacking sometimes a sense of purpose. What do I do now? I always knew what I needed to do when I worked, but what is it I do now? And these are things that you need to work on, and you need to make yourself a list, the pros and cons of how you're trying to live and versus how you're actually living. I honestly believe in all my interviews that the biggest shock to the system that individuals have is they think they planned for retirement financially, but they didn't plan for it emotionally. They didn't plan that they're not going to have the kind of income that they once had. They didn't really plan for inflation. They didn't plan for Social Security not to support them as much as they thought it should. You know, Social Security was never designed to be your total retirement. It was a booster, if you will, or an avenue of revenue that if you put money into Social Security, you're going to get some back. Now, you're not going to get back anywhere near what you think you should, but it's going to, at least give you somewhere between 60 and 80% of what you had covered before. In many people, it's as low as 50%. And there's too many people in this world right now trying to live off of Social Security just by itself. And then they wonder why they run out of money. Well, it was never designed to make your house payment and whatever else. It was designed to help. It wasn't designed to take care of all your health care. We have Medicare and Medicaid, and it does a great job. But you also need supplemental insurance because it too is not designed to cover everything. So where these pensions were once standard, now they're rare. And because they are more expensive and more complex to manage than ever before. So it's quite obvious why retirees want pensions back. They want a guaranteed income and don't want to rely on market performance, a major appeal given to the current economic volatility. So back in the day, and when I say back in the day, let's just go back 30 years ago. It was a whole different scenario than it is today. So the economic of pensions, just for you that may or may not understand it, is that the real life transformations that you're going through um, does not allow for companies to just have pensions. And I don't want to repeat myself, but I will. They can't afford it. So they have and they're facing some other issues. They being the companies. They have a declining active population driven by industry changes that used to accelerate the amount of money companies had to possibly give you a pension. We've got artificial intelligence right now. Be it right, be it wrong, from companies' point of view, it's a real cost savings. From individuals' point of view, they don't like it because jobs have been eliminated, and if they can eliminate jobs, they don't need the people that they used to hire, they no longer need, and they're not putting money into the pension fund. So the only way to do it, as I said earlier, is to start your own 401k and or IRA. Recently here in the United States, longshoremen have been on strike. These folks want a 70% raise in income, and they want their pension guaranteed even more. Well, I'm sorry to say, it's not going to happen. Companies are already fighting for, after the pandemic, they're fighting for the logistics to be more cost effective. The price of shipping goods is more expensive than it ever was, and the companies are not going to pay for it. Once again, I told you the companies, they're in business to make money. And if they don't make money, they're not going to be in business much longer. And if they're not in business, they certainly can't give these longshoremen the kind of raises that they're looking for. I know it's expensive to live now, and especially if you're a retiree, it's a real shock. Prices are just, you can't buy anything. I know I went to the grocery store 2 days ago, I bought a little carton of grapes. They were $7. Oh my gosh. I mean, $7. I've seen eggs for $9. Just everything's just very expensive. So we can whine and complain and to say, well, the companies didn't do this, but they didn't do that. But at the end of the day, what do you have except a lot of frustration? Hey guys, real quick, if you've been struggling to answer the question, now what, after you've retired, I'd like to invite each and every one of you to my free Now What challenge that can help you reignite your spark, give yourself a sense of direction, try to decide exactly what it is you want to do in this next phase of your life. People are very smart and they get worn out. I know that. But eventually they know they got to do something more. And you need a purpose to get up and out of that bed each and every morning. I have tools, processes, and methodologies that I'm going to share with you in this challenge that I believe will help you clear your mind and decide exactly what you're going to do in this next phase of your life. Mature pensions, well, they're showing a negative cash flow right now. Now, it's easier to do in the public sector because governments, unlike private companies, have a greater ability to consistently fund these long-term retirement plans due to their stable revenue streams from taxes and allowing them to offer more reliable benefits to their employees. And it's often a way to attract and retain talent. So perhaps a short-term gain is if you want this guarantee in your retirement fund, perhaps you go to work for the government, and because they're always funding different areas. But you have to be aware of what's going on in organizations. I want to share back in the early 90s, the workforce started to change. And how did it change? Well, especially in the computer and the technology industry, we learned that we can outsource different jobs overseas for a fraction of the price. And if we could do that, then we don't need as many employees as we once had. I know people think that's not right, but companies are always looking for ways to be more cost efficient. And if this helped them free up funds, then that's exactly what they're going to do. Not are they only going to do it, they have done it. We have a challenge right now with we have many people entering this country illegally. Well, you're competing against them for jobs if you're still in the workforce. And now you're trying to plan for retirement. Let's say you're 50 years old and you're going to say, what now? Well, what now is as much as you don't want to, you have to reframe and rethink what your retirement's going to look like. Even in your 50s, you have enough time, even in your 60s, to kind of rearrange your thought process. And the thought process has got to be something like this. What is it I'm going to do to ensure I have the cash flow and the security that I need in my retirement? So, what are some potential solutions for this? Well, employees and companies, along with insurance companies, have come up with what they call hybrid pension plans. And what is a hybrid pension plan? Retirement hybrid pension plan is the employee puts the money in, the company puts some money in, and they're sharing the responsibility. Companies understand you want to be secure. They're simply telling you we can't afford it all anymore. We can't just give people what they want because it's not cost effective for us. It gives us a negative cash flow, And if we don't have employees putting money into the company, it's very difficult for us to put money out for future retirement. Sure, companies want to take care of their employees. It's expensive. Turnover is expensive, but they're also dealing with this reality, which is very difficult for a lot of people to come to grips with. And it's just like this. This world is not fair. And as you get older, you start to understand that more and more. You start to understand that, especially here in America, the economy is kind of geared to a youth movement, excuse me, and retirees are kind of pushed over here. Well, I got a newsflash for many of these market experts. Do you know that baby boomers and beyond have the strongest buying power in the country? They've got the highest buying power around the world. And what used to be, where you used to be able to go work for a company and feel secure that you have retirement, um, it changed, and it started to change from my perspective in about the early 90s. And now, that just, for those of us that are over, say, 70, that doesn't seem that long ago. But think about that. 90s for, what was that, 34, 35 years ago? So that was some time. So we got to find different ways to fund how we're going to live. And when I say you need to reframe the way that you're thinking about your retirement, I mean exactly that. Just know, number one, you're not going to have a fully paid pension. Number two, you're going to have to take more responsibility. And number three, you're going to have to find different ways to drive revenue or ensure that you have revenue so that you can retire exactly how you feel that you want to and live the kind of lifestyle that you want. It's not impossible. You just got to plan for it. So the New York Times recently wrote an article and they said more employers or more people are looking for employers that will give them benefits such as pensions. Um, However, pensions have dropped and they're just not there anymore. And as further evidenced by the workplace on pensions, the New York Times described a 2029 or a 2020 report by the National Institute of Retirement Security. It says that more than 4 out of 5 millennials working in the public sector cited pensions as a key reason for staying in their jobs. If you have a passion for what you're doing in your job, I suggest you stay there and understand this retirement is work. It's work on your part that you got to plan for it. You got to understand not only is it financial, it's emotionally draining, and you have to find ways to combat that. So you heard me talk about the new retirement and what that looks like. People are working longer than they ever did before. They're doing it many times out of necessity. They're doing it to have a sense of purpose. They're doing it to make sure they stay relevant and to ensure that they can live the kind of lifestyle they always dreamed of. The only difference between now and what your parents and your grandparents did is we got to work harder at it now. Nothing in this life seems like it's easy, does it? You think you work 40 years and you're ready to ride off in the sunset. But here's what I find with the clients that I talk to, especially baby boomers, they're not ready to retire. Or if they are ready to retire, they're ready to do the next chapter, the next phase of their life. We have learned that if we retire now at 65 years old, the chances of us living into our another 25 to 30 years are great. Daniel Buettner is a author, and he has traveled the world. He's written a book called The Blue Zones. And what this book's all about is people that are living their 80, 90, even their hundreds. He wanted to know what drove them and why were they living this long? Why are we living this long? Well, it's real simple. We have increased medical expertise now. New drugs have been developed. People are taking better care of themselves. They're eating more whole foods than ever before. I heard a statistic by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The other night on television. He said when his uncle, John F. Kennedy, was president, there was especially in children, there was a 2% 2% of the population was affected by diabetes. And he's talking about children. That statistic's up to 60% now. And why is that? Well, it's because all the additives they put in food, we pay attention to all these ads and we buy junk. We don't eat what's good for us. So those people grow up and when they get ready for retirement, if they haven't taken care of themselves, then they have health problems. Well, here we go. This is another cost that wasn't planned for. You got to plan for it. And the best way you can prevent, you know, shelling all that money out is you need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of your health. You need to go to your doctor on a regular basis, at least once a year, just to ensure that you're in good health and it can almost be um, preventative. So many retirees grow up what they call, or grow up. They retire and they have what we call retirement anxiety. They're nervous about all this. Okay, after decades of hard work, they feel like it's time to relax, and it is. You need to have fun, but you also need to understand what your financial goals are. If what you plan is different from what you're doing now, let's adjust. You know, when we create something in the online world, we work in what we call an iterative fashion. We build a little bit, and if that doesn't work, we change it. We build a little bit, and if that doesn't work, we change it. I'm sharing with you, you can do the same thing. If you have anxiety right now about your retirement, then things that matter is number one, set um, clear financial goals. You need to look at your finances on a monthly basis. What you thought when you were working that was going to work is a whole lot different from when you retired. And one of the things is people don't change easily. If you were spending $6,000 a month while you were working, um, and then all of a sudden you retire and you got about a third of that, you got a problem unless you have the money and a form of income that can um, make up that gap. Other thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to meet with your financial planner. But Michael, I've already done all that. I know, but things change. And a good financial planner can look at what you've done, not totally revamp, but make some tweaks so that you make sure that can live your retirement in peace and do exactly what you want to do. You need to pay attention to the 4% rule. And the 4% rule is this is how you don't take any more than 4% out of your retirement fund on an annual basis to ensure that you can prepare for market downturns. And it will happen. Okay. Look what's happened in 2024. The stock market's been like this. And prices have gone like this. So you need to make sure. You heard me. You need to make sure that you plan for all this. And I know you like to just relax, but and I want you to relax too. And you should learn how to play, but you also should know how to plan for the exact way that you want to live. So one of the other things that can help you manage your stress is you need to find purpose and community. We are social animals, we being human beings. We were meant to work together. And, there's a real void in your life after you stop working and you had all these people that they might not have been your friends, but they were your colleagues and people that you worked with every day, et cetera, et cetera. And you might wake up one morning and say, where'd all these people go? Well, they're still working, many of them, and you retired and you're not seeing them on a regular basis. So you need to reach out inside of your community. It could be a church. It could be something like the American Legion if you're a veteran. It could be something like a sewing club or a book club, whatever it may be. Just so you have that social interaction and you're filling that need inside of you and you're reducing that anxiety that you're feeling after you're retired. You could volunteer, you could do part-time work, you could take up a new hobby that might turn into a career for you if that's what you wanted. Many retirees find fulfillment in mentoring. Young people would love to learn what you know. If you've worked 30 to 40, 50 years, you've got intellectual capital that you can share with others. And you can just mentor them. You might even want to take that intellectual capital and turn it into a book or course or an online course. I don't know. That's up to you. But you need to set the time aside and constantly revisit it when you worry about, oh, what is my purpose now? You define that purpose. Instead of being afraid of this retirement, feel good. Feel good that it's a new beginning. You turn the page, what's next? And if you got another 25 or 30 years, gosh knows you have enough time. You spend all those years taking care of a household, perhaps a family, and now you've got the time to focus on you. You didn't have the time when you worked because you were too busy working all the time. Think about your bucket list. Do you have one? Do you have a bucket list, things you want to accomplish before the end of your time? You know, there's many people that say, well, I'll sleep when I die. Well, that's I'm not encouraging that, but I am encouraging you live this life to the fullest and work on that bucket list and um, give yourself some grace if you can't find exactly what you want to do at the time. Remember, retirement's a journey. It's not a final destination. With clear goals and a supportive community, you're going to be amazed at how well your life improves. I hope today's podcast and YouTube has given you some thoughts that you might want to consider for your future. If you need even more ideas, I want to invite everyone listening or watching this podcast to a free challenge I'm going to hold. It's called the You've Retired, Now What Challenge. And it's like, what are you going to do with your life? What's your identity? If you're going to do something, what is your why? Do you need a blueprint for what to do next? We're going to provide that for you in this challenge. This challenge is going to be 1 hour a day, each day for 5 days. And I don't have the exact time, but I'd encourage you to reach out to me. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and I will give you the dates. I think it's probably going to be in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And this can help you get outside of your own mind. My mission, after teaching large organizations for many years, is to help you get out of your own mind and take action and move towards that retirement dream you always had. I thank you for listening. I'd encourage you to share this podcast with your friends, neighbors, or your colleagues, even family members. Many in your age group or my age group, they could be struggling with the same things and they're looking for answers. As a group, we can give them some help, give them some answers. I thank you again, and I'm wishing each and every one of you a great day. Take care now. Hey, before we conclude this episode, I'd like each and every one of you to know that your thoughts, your dreams, and what you would like to get out of this podcast is valuable to me. My whole goal and my mission is to serve you like I have served others. For years, I had taught major corporations how to use learning as a competitive advantage. I want to do the same for you. So please leave your notes or reach out to me, and I want to gear this podcast towards your wants and needs and help you as much as I can. Again, this is Michael Kiffmeyer, and you've listened to You've Retired, Now What? I want to thank each and every one of you for listening.